Nothing better than reminiscing about the good old days. Just like a familiar smell has the power to transform you back into a distinctive moment of your life, watching an old movie can also have that same mystical effect. While there are several franchises like Harry Potter who were successfully adapted on the big screen, there are countless series that haven't been as successful in their film adaptations. However, all hope is not lost. You can always benefit from remaking a movie, especially if the original version didn't do quite well. Here are 10 movies people want to see remade and given a second life to their original terrible version. Counting down is number 1, In Time, 2011. Starring Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried, the sci-fi thriller In Time is set in a world where time is the literal currency, as everybody has a countdown timer on their wrist and anything they buy is taken off that timer, but the kicker is that when the timer hits 0, the person is killed. While that sounds like an incredible sci-fi thriller, many viewers complain the movie was a waste of an incredible concept. And they might not be wrong. Although In Time had an imaginative concept, it had been executed quite poorly. A lot of writer-director Andrew Niccol's movie follow the same path. His movies like Gattaca, Lord of War, and Simone all have creative and intelligent premises, but they don't stick the landing, or they veer off track into a less interesting story. A remake could be produced that focuses more on the world, and more interestingly, the criminal underworld that's hinted at in the film. On number 2, we have Alien vs. Predator. When it comes to any monster movie, humans always have way too much screen time, and anytime they're on screen, audiences want nothing more than for it to cut back to the monsters. Godzilla, Cloverfield, and so many others are all guilty of this. But according to several Reddit users, 2004's Alien vs. Predator is the biggest culprit. The viewers argued that humans always ruin the story, and they should die earlier than they did in the movie. Others also claimed the biggest problem was the producers made the Predator a good guy. The user thinks the movie should be remade without any humans, and there's no doubt that would make a more engaging and terrifying monster movie. A much simpler film where the two aliens are hunting each other could make for the best versus movie, and any human that gets involved should be nothing more than collateral damage. Number 3, Gangster Squad, 2013. Gangster Squad was a movie with a mouth-watering all-star cast, as it featured Ryan Gosling, Sean Penn, Josh Brolin, Emma Stone, and so many more. And with it being a period gangster drama, it was almost impossible to fail. But the 2013 movie is the perfect example that a huge ensemble cast like that doesn't guarantee success. After the release of the movie, most critics seem to think it should have stayed on the shelf. Among the top critics listed on Rotten Tomatoes, the film earned a scathing 12% of positive reviews. But what went wrong with this movie? Well, the long-delayed gangster drama suffers from corny writing, underdeveloped characters, and a wasted cast. Meeting criticism online, viewers claimed the movie to be too underdeveloped to be good. The movie looked glossy and pretty, but the dialogue was poor, and it felt like the screenplay was the first draft. With a better screenwriter who wants to sell a riveting story than to entertain with cheap thrills, a remake could be Scorsese-tier gangster movie material. Number 4, Trance, 2013. Danny Boyle's Trance was marketed as a heist movie about a group of con men stealing highbrow art from galleries, but that didn't end up being the case. Instead of being an intense crime thriller, it ended up being a psychological drama that obscures reality and fantasy. The film is fascinating, but it doesn't exactly deliver on its promise. Many viewers want to see a sequel, talking about how they were absolutely floored by the trailer and had high hopes for the movie, but the script was mediocre and brought down the rest of the movie. It has been a while since a great heist movie hit the theaters, and a Trance remake could be the next one if the surrealism was trimmed down. Now, even though these movies did not seem to do that well, it isn't always that viewers demand a remake. In fact, sometimes it is completely the opposite case. Some hit franchises canceled their movies before the sequel even came out, and you'll be surprised to find out that they even include your favorite superheroes like Spider-Man and Iron Man. While there are some movie viewers wish didn't happen, here are some movies viewers wish did happen. The first of the unreleased movie franchise is Quentin Tarantino's Tarantino's Star Trek. While he has already made a number of classics, Quentin Tarantino's various unrealized projects are almost just as exciting. But the one that got the most attention was his proposed idea for a new Star Trek movie. Being a long-time fan of the franchise, Tarantino proposed an idea for returning to the adventures of the Enterprise. It was said that the movie would feature the cast led by Chris Pine's Kirk, and that it would be an R rating. Ultimately, it seemed to be too good to be true, as Tarantino seemed to walk away from the Trek project before long. The unmade Quentin Tarantino Star Trek is a fascinating thing to ponder. On the one hand, Tarantino is so good at making original and unique characters emerge from the molds of vintage art that it feels like a relief he didn't get saddled with a pre-established universe. On the other hand, it'll always be tempting to imagine what such a strange detour from the franchise's norms would have looked like, though this feature will always remain a possibility rather than a reality. Number 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 3. With the mediocre performance of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's not entirely surprising Sony Pictures Entertainment decided to forego a third installment. However, with the incredible, dare say, show-stealing performance from Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker in the blockbuster hit Spider-Man No Way Home, fans have renewed interest in another film from the lauded actor. Peter Parker could face plenty of villains within the established Marvel comic history. Still, fans long for a movie with Spider-Man versus his arch nemesis Venom, since that plot was initially supposed to follow Spider-Man 2. Number 3, Hulk 2. Before Mark Ruffalo took the role, Edward Norton had a Hulk movie. Although it is not as popular as the other Marvel movies, there was always hope that Ruffalo would star in his own independent Hulk 2. However, they couldn't get what they wanted. Turns out that since The Incredible Hulk was released, Marvel was purchased by Disney, a studio that would prefer to limit the number of Marvel characters and other studios can release. Thus, a solo Hulk movie is stuck in a state of perpetual rights-spurred limbo. And since Marvel doesn't own rights for the solo Hulk movie, they don't want to pay another company to distribute the movie as well. The closest fans got to the dream was Bruce Banner's prominent role in Thor Ragnarok. With most of the original main cast of Avengers written out of the MCU sequel, Ruffalo could be up for his long-awaited feature Professor Hulk film. However, there are no affirmative plans for this yet. Moving on to number 4, we have Iron Man 4. Robert Downey Jr. is the epitome of MCU superheroes. However, despite the actor being inseparable from the character of Tony Stark, the two Iron Man sequels did not match the original in terms of fans' expectations, although they both dominated at the box office, and the third movie made over $1 billion. Thus, it's not surprising that another solo RDJ-led Marvel movie has not yet made it to the big screens. Perhaps with a more compelling script, Iron Man 4 could have at least hoped to match the original movie rather than having Stark end his run in the collective Avengers films. That said, fans are still very receptive to an Iron Man 4, and YouTube has plenty of fan-made trailers. Number 5, Narnia 4: The Silver Chair. Walt Disney's film adaptation of C.S. Lewis's The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe amassed $745 million. Its huge success led to 2 more sequels. Unfortunately, neither held a candle to the original's profit, but they were commendable films, with most of the main cast featuring or at least a cameo. The Silver Chair movie was slow to move forward, but roared to life in 2016 when Sony came aboard to finance the film, with plans to adapt the remaining Narnia books after that. Since Will Poulter, who played Eustace in Dawn Treader, and the other young actors from the previous Narnia movies had already aged out of their roles by that point, the idea was The Silver Chair would reboot the franchise with a different cast. However, that was the last major update on the film, and it appears to have fallen off the track since then. It's possible Sony decided it wasn't worth rebooting a franchise that was already 3 films deep and had grossed less with each passing entry. Faithful fans long for Narnia 4: The Silver Chair, which would follow Eustace Scrubb's adventures and his schoolmate Jill Pole. Together, they would search for the lost Prince Rilian. Although Netflix has acquired the rights to the adaptation series, it seems unlikely there will be another film for the famed franchise. Last but not least, Avatar: The Last Airbender 2. It would be a stretch to imagine anyone who loved the cartoon version of Avatar: The Last Airbender wanting a sequel movie by M. Night Shyamalan. However, had the live-action film not tried to cram the entirety of Book 1 into a 2-hour feature film, at least it wouldn't be the laughingstock of adaptations. While the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender 2 will never happen due to the movie's dismal critical reception and bad box office, a new rebooted version of Avatar: The Last Airbender is far far more likely to be viable. This project, unlike Avatar: The Last Airbender 2, can avoid connections with the earlier failure and could make up for the epic faceplant that was 2010's Avatar: The Last Airbender. There are actually a trio of ATLA-related animated movies that were recently announced as in development, but they will clearly have nothing to do with the flop live-action adaptation. Do you agree with our lists, or do you have any more unreleased movies you wish were given a chance on the screen? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on the latest Hollywood movie news. Thanks for watching.